Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MSB podcast. I'm your host, Austin, and welcome back to another episode of the MSB podcast, the Motivation, Success, and Blessings podcast. We're back. It's been a little while, and we have a brand new series coming to our podcast here. So I just want to say thank you for clicking on this episode and tuning in for today's session. Today we are starting our absolutely brand new topic, which is all about budgeting, all about money, all about success, and being financially stable in the new year of 2024 and to come. And I'm going to go over the steps on how to stay financially stable all throughout this series here. So this is starting part 1 of this series right now, episode 1 of this series, and we're going to continue through different episodes and different topics and different steps, and I'm going to run you through what you need to do at each step of each different place. I will give advice to younger folks who are just coming out of college, just coming out of high school. I will give advice to people who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, and I'll even discuss some retirement later. This kind of story will kind of like go from like young age to older age. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to talk more about it. But if you haven't already, please follow us over on Twitter for updates. Our username over on Twitter is the MSB Podcast. Again, the MSB Podcast. And you guys can stay tuned because every time a new episode is coming out, I will let you guys know new episode being filmed right now. So stay tuned over there on our Twitter, and let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Yes, so hello everybody, it's your host Austin, and like I said, today we're starting episode number 1 of our topic for our money series. Money is a big problem in the entire world, and there is so many people that are in debt. I mean, you just look up online how many Americans are in debt, and you're going to see that more than 64 million Americans carry credit card debt. The Experian study also found that 340 million Americans are currently carrying some type of form of debt. That's 340 million. And then you look up how many Americans in the U.S., what is the population of the United States? And the population, I gotta find that here. Is 331 million. Does that make any sense to you guys? There's 331 million people in the United States. And that was as of 2021. The current population is 340,910,528 people. So looking here, 340 million Americans. The percentage of American households that are in debt comes to 77% as per Ramsey Solutions. Only around 23% of Americans are debt-free. And that's the first step to this topic, is to try to get rid of some debt. So, again, welcome to episode 1. I am your host, Austin, and we're going to start with part 1. So today we're going to talk about steps 1 and steps 2 of our thing here. First, we're going to start with step 1. Okay, so step 1 is going to be different for everyone. That's why I'm saying this. Why I just want to put a big disclaimer out. This is different for everyone. If you need some personal help with your debt or anything, the best thing I can tell you is to shoot me an email. And you can email me. I'm sorry, it's been so long since we had an episode. I got to find my email. You can email me at the MSB podcast at protonmail.com. Again, the MSB podcast at protonmail.com. And mail me over there. And I'll get you taken care of. Again, that email address is the MSB podcast at protonmail.com. And I can help you over there for your own personal help if you need anything or any questions. But the way I'm going to have this kind of go that you guys are going to have to stick around for is we're going to run this by an age basis. Okay, so today we're going to talk about your age from around 16, 17, 18. I want to say 18 because 18 is when things fully start. Okay, you can apply for credit cards. You can get your own bank account in only your name. You can begin working, fully legally. You're ready to go. You're starting your adult life, starting your adulthood. That is whenever you're 18. So I want to say 18, but 16, 17-year-olds as well. And we're going to start with that basis here of what you need to do. Now, when you're first starting out, whenever you're young, the biggest thing is to start making income. Find a job and start making income. You may or may not have debt yet. Freshly 18, you probably won't have debt, but you might have just acquired some if you're going to go to college or go to a university or take out some kind of loan for something. Everyone's different. But most people will not have debt. And I can tell you is do not sign your life away. That is the biggest thing here. Do not sign your life away. Do not rush out to buy a car loan. Do not rush out to get a cell phone. Most people I see now is they're running to Verizon Wireless or AT&T Wireless, or they're running to some kind of phone store to buy a phone and put it on installments and pay payments on it. That is a debt. If you do not pay it, now it's going to sit on your credit. So what I can tell you is to not do that. What I can say is that freshly starting out, if you need a phone, the best thing I can say is to get some cheap option for right now. If you already have a device, an iPhone, Android phone, whatever kind of smartphone, or even a flip phone, take it into Verizon or AT&T and get a prepaid service. Those services, they are so cheap. Right now, I am going to look at the prices for Verizon Wireless. And we're going to look at prepaid plans. If you want to see it on your own screen, go to Verizon.com. And then for United States, yours might be different depending on what country you're in, where you're listening from. But go to Verizon.com, whatever Verizon website, and then you want to click on Shop, and then go to Prepaid, and then click on Plans, and then click on Phone Plans. Now, there's also a button for data plans, but now these are like all together basically. But anyway, you can get 15 gigabytes for $35 a month with autopay, $45 a month plain. I would say your best one to go for if you need a lot of data and you need the money and you don't need that much of fast service is unlimited, plain unlimited. That is $60 a month or $50 a month with autopay. Now, that's it. $50 a month and like a little bit of taxes, your bill will be like $53, and you get a 5 gigabyte mobile hotspot to share with people on different devices or anything like that. But if you do need the Unlimited Plus, which gives you 5G ultra wideband, 50 gigabyte premium network access, 25 gigabyte premium mobile hotspot, and global choice at no additional cost for one country, then you can go the Unlimited Plus. It is $70 a month, $60 a month with autopay. Now, some people will have already had a phone on their parents' plan or their guardian's plan. With that, I can tell you, try to stay with them and just pay your bill and get your phone paid off if they're making you pay it off. Some of you may be lucky and your parents may say, I got your phone bill. If you do, you're good. You don't have to worry about that. But think about it in the future. That's the biggest thing that a lot of people go out to do is they go to get approved for a phone plan and they get a wireless account and they don't understand they're in a contract now, number one, a lot of places. Number two, they have to have you got to put already a good bit of money down when you first get your phone. And number three, now you have a big monthly bill every month. Because I can tell you, the bill was $55 with AT&T before, for me, for unlimited. Well, not for me, but for someone I know. And then they went to AT&T Wireless, and they bought a iPhone 14 Pro Max. And let me check the stats on that right now. I'm pretty sure, like, it went up. It's a lot. Their bill is now $135. That is their bill now, $135 compared to $55 with AT&T. So, with the prepaid. But their bill goes as such. Let me see the bill details here that they sent over. I mean, you got to understand, you are paying for a phone, so you're not really, it's just the fact that if you have the money to buy the phone straight out, buy the phone straight out. Why carry, a balance on this phone? But the plan, they charge $95. $95 for the same exact plan that you can getting plain unlimited data. I mean, going on AT&T, you can go to att.com and you can get information over there, and then you just go to, or in the top, prepaid. Big button prepaid. And their options, shop plans, their options are, let me see here, a 12-month unlimited $25 a month when you prepay $300 for 12 months of service. You can do that if you wanted, but that's that's a whole year. But, just regular unlimited is $50 a month with autopay. $50 a month with autopay. A 5 gigabyte hotspot included, or you can do a 5 gigabyte prepaid for $30. It's worth it to get the unlimited, but anyway, unless you don't use data. But you just compare 50 to 95. Look at how much more money you're already spending. You're already spending $45 more. Is that right? 95 minus 50. That's right. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, $45. Right? So my brain's not working today. Yeah, $45. That's correct. So $45 more just because you're on wireless. And then you're paying AT&T. This person's paying $33.34 for 36 months. That means they have to pay this monthly payment on their phone every month for 36 months before it's even paid off. Who in the world? I mean, some people may be okay with it, but who wants to wait? Some people don't want to wait 3 years to buy another phone, which we'll talk about that as well. You have to watch your spending and be okay with what you have. But 36 months when you can just buy this thing out right now. Some people are being like, I don't have the money. What I'm going to say might irritate some people. Like I said, it's different for everybody. So don't come after me with everybody's different ideas. But instead of getting in a contract with a company, I would go get a credit card. Okay? If you can get like a big credit card, I get a credit card. I'd put this phone on there. This phone, brand new, the iPhone 14 Pro Max this person got, is $1,100. It was $1,099 for this phone. Okay? And they could put that on their credit card and pay way more than $33 a month. Like, I'm talking pay like $200 a month on this phone. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They got this thing paid off in 5 to 6 months on a credit card. And that's the thing, though. That is not going to help your credit score too much. You're carrying a balance on your credit cards. Like I said, it's different for everyone. Maybe getting it is right for you. Maybe if you got the cash, that's the best option. If you got the cash, buy it in cash. Just take those 5 months that you're waiting for your phone, that you're paying on your phone, your credit card, and save that cash for 5 months and then go buy that phone. Exactly. And then you don't even have to worry about it. You got cash. No debt. Debt-free. Speaking of credit cards, let's talk about credit cards. I am going to talk about that's our first topic. We're still on our first topic. We might not get to our second topic today. We're still on our first topic of getting started. The first thing you want to do is make a rule that works for you. Now, a lot of us has probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. Now, I've changed that a lot for myself. Okay? Because some people do not need 50% of their income for their needs. Okay? But that's what we're talking about. Your entire income, weekly, monthly, whatever, 50% is for needs, 30% is for your wants, and 20% is for your savings. I have to butt in there and say for myself, my 30%, I changed that. 10% of my money is for my wants. Okay? Things that I want. That means I do not really need them. What I need is a savings account that I can rely on. What I need is to build money for my future. What you need is to build money for your future. So your wants are going to have to wait. I put savings first. Now, some people follow the rule of saving first. That works for some, but it also does not work for others. What I can tell you, though, is 50% of your income. Now, what if you're getting, let's just say, $50,000 a year? That's not too much anymore, really. $50,000 annually comes out to usually be about $24 an hour. Okay, now that's kind of like I'd say like an average pay now. I mean, let's look it up. Average pay, that was for 2023. Let's look at average pay. Pennsylvania, an average was $58,000 annually. Rhode Island, 64, South Carolina, 50, South Dakota, 49. So let's just say about $50,000 average. The U.S. had an average of around $58,563 as of right now. Okay, so it's around $58,000 average. So $58,000, let's just say you make $58,000. We'll do a little bit below average, $55,000 annually. That means that 50% of that is supposed to go for your wants. That means 50% of $55,000 annually. So $55,000 divided by, minusing away 50%. That is $27,500. That is half of your income. Okay, so you may be thinking, that's why I'm saying the less bills you have, the less things that you want, the less things that you end up needing means more money for you to save. Okay, so you have to decide for yourself. The biggest thing that I can tell you is do not buy. We're going out and we're buying new cars. Do you need a new car? Well, my car has 85,000 miles on it. Who cares? It runs, doesn't it? It drives, doesn't it? There was some person who I know of, and she was in her car. It's a great car, but the inside of it is the bad part of it. The seats are stained and they need to be cleaned. And her car just hit a little over 90,000 miles, and her radio is pretty basic, unlike the new cars, and she wants to have something a little bit nicer. Here's my thought on that. What do you think is more better financially? To keep the car you have and to upgrade your radio and get a professional clean done on your seats or try to clean them yourself, and you can buy a really nice radio with an Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I mean, you just go online to Amazon and you just type in Apple CarPlay radio, and you get a whole bunch. Here's one by CarFlix, $139. And that one even looks easy. You just stick it up on your dash. Stick it right up there on your dash, a little sticker, and plug it in. You're good to go. And that one's and connect your speakers and all that. $139. Actually, that one looks like it's an actual, just like a screen. And it's $139 with a $20. Yeah. 3 audio modes: aux input, FM transmitter, and Bluetooth. So I'm not sure if you connect this to your current radio or if you change this. It says step 1, connect the Type-C 3A cable to your CarFlix device. Step 2 is plug the other end into your car's cigarette lighter interface. To me, it looks like you just literally use this thing. It's portable. Yeah, portable. Portable wireless CarPlay. So you don't even have to even fight with your current radio. You just put this thing in and connect it. It's $140 on sale for a $20 coupon. Makes it $120 plus your tax and if you have shipping. That's it. And maybe a professional car detailer, maybe $100 for that. You're looking at $240 compared to going in debt by buying a $20,000 car. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you is a lot of the time, do without to help yourself in the future. Because these big decisions you're going to do and then you're going to regret them. There's so many that I have made in my life and I regret them. So moving on, lower down your needs. Maybe you don't need, or your needs. Maybe you don't have a new car. You don't have a big car payment. I mean, that's $27,500. And let's say that you have rent. Now, rent's pretty expensive now. Let's just say you pay $1,400 a month, and that is for a whole entire year times 12. It's right there is $16,800. But you have no car payment, but you have gas. Gas is a need in your book because you got to go places, you got to go to work, you got to go here, whatever. So let's say you spend $30 a week for gas. You do 30 times 4. That is going to be 30, 60, 90, 120. So 120 a month, and then you times that by 12. So 120, and you times that by 12. That ends up bringing you in $1,440. That's your gas prices for the entire year. Which, that's kind of cheap, though, $30 a week. That's like, it depends. Like I said, everybody's fluctuates, but I would say that's like the average. $30 a week. Actually, that's not right at all. I'm sorry. We got to double that. Let's add another $1,440 on there. Let's double it, because it's probably going to be like $60 to fill a tank, depending on how big your car is. And if you have like a 20-minute trip to work every day, that's going to add up. So you're already at $19,680. But you got your other stuff, your water bill. So you will probably use your 50% for your needs, and you'll probably go over that, but you don't want to go over it. That's the whole thing. But some people will have a home that they got inherited from their parents. They have no big like home or renting payment or mortgage. So some people will have that left. I'm going to say do not bring that to your wants category. Do not share your needs with your wants. If you have extra money left over from your needs, it needs to go right to savings, people. Right to savings. So maybe you have, let's say, a 30% needs, and let's say your wants, you have them stick at 30% as well. Right there, 60%, you still have 40% of your entire money going to savings. That's an excellent, absolutely phenomenal amount of money to save. Okay? I mean, even just 20%, 20% of $55,000, that alone is $11,000 a year. And if you continue that for at least 5 years, you're looking at literally, oh wow, $55,000. You just put your entire annual amount in there. But let's not mix things up. We got savings and our emergency fund. Some people get them mixed. They should be separate, and they should have different amounts. And you want to focus on emergency fund first, because you never know if you're going to fall out of work for some reason. Now, what most people aim for is a 6 month of all their expenses in their emergency fund. So if you got a $400 light bill, that's a big light bill. Let's say $350 for a light bill. It's kind of expensive now. Let's just say $350 for a light bill. And let's say you have your water bill. Let's do like a monthly. A lot are done like in 3 months. I know mine is done in every 3 months, and it's like $170 for 3 months. But then again, we use kind of a good bit of water. I don't really know. But let's say like $50 a month for your water. And then you have, let's say, $50 a month for trash. Are just done every 3 months. Or I'm sorry, every 3 months, and it is around $195 right now because we got a big family. Okay, let's just say $450 for your. Now that's gonna bring it to $450 total. Let's say $50 a month for trash, and let's say you have your gas, which will be 60, and 60. That's going to be $690. So you have to add up all your stuff. Let's say $1,000 you spend a month and you need for all your expenses. $1,000 a month. We're forgetting rent. So let's add that in there. $1,440 for your rent. That's what we figured out earlier, right? Or no, it was more than that. We'll just say $1,440. So you're looking at $2,440 monthly. And you got to do that by 6. So that means you need to have an emergency fund of $14,640 if you're going to do 6 months. Now, some people like to do, they think that they might not be out of work for more than 3 months. So you want to at least aim for 3 months, but the best could be 6 months. Some people think, oh, I need to have more than 6 months. Let me ask you, what kind of problem is going to make you fall out of work where you're going to make zero income for 6 months total? That's very unlikely to happen, so the rest of that money should be in your regular savings. Now, some people have just a basic savings and a basic emergency fund. Some people have an emergency fund and they have a vacational savings, there is some people out there who have a ton of different savings accounts. They got their retirement fund, they got their tax savings, they got their, it's for you, whatever you need to do. Some people just have one savings account as well, and that's where their emergency fund is and their regular savings. I encourage people to have two different savings accounts, one being for emergency fund and the other being for your later on savings, your retirement savings for money in case something really bad happens would be in your emergency fund. So aim for two. So now we're going to go into part 2 here. If you guys have any questions, remember to email that email address, the MSB podcast at protonmail.com. But I'm going to start the next topic, which is going to be next. That's like the whole lowdown with money. And we'll talk more about savings accounts probably in the next episode and other topics. But I want to go ahead and get into the topic about credit cards. And we'll talk about loans next time too. Let me take a little note down real quick. Next session, we're going to talk about credit card. No, we're going to talk about loans, savings accounts, and loans. And then the next one will be managing debt. Okay? That's the next 2 sessions out. But for now, we're going to begin our next little part here, credit cards. We're going to talk about some credit cards here. Let's take a quick intermission real quick, and we'll be right back. Go ahead and play a little bit of instrumental music as we blend into credit cards, and I'll be right back with you guys. I got to go get us a water. I'm a little bit parched, and I'll be right back, and we're going to start the thought and talk about credit cards, what you should aim for, how to build your credit if you're fresh out, or what to do if your credit is currently failing. We're going to talk about all 3 different options and many different ideas and thoughts and different perspectives. And again, this is different for everybody, but I'm going to try to cover everybody's different topics and the way everybody else has. I mean, we got people with bad credit, demolished credit, okay credit, good credit, and fresh starting out credit with no credit. I'm going to talk about all that, and I'm going to talk about how credit cards can help you, but also how they can hurt you. Let's go ahead. We'll be right back. Take a quick intermission. I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, and I am back. Let's go ahead and talk about credit cards. Talk about how many you should focus on how many you should get, if any. Some people say none at all. Some people say to close out ones you don't use. We're going to talk about not what the experts say, but my exact experience with the credit cards. Exactly how they are, what happens whenever you close them, and what you should maintain and do on your credit card, and how to build your credit if you're starting fresh, and how to fix it if it's failing. Okay, so here's what you need to do. If you are starting out with credit, you have fresh credit, you have not built any credit up yet, here is what you need to do. I recommend that you get a credit card. Some people are nervous to get a credit card. A lot of people starting out need to get a secured credit card. A lot of those are best through a credit union. It's a high odds that you'll get approved if you go to the credit union where your parents are, or a guardian is, or one where you bank if you open a bank account there, or you have a savings account there, and then you get a credit card there. You'll have a higher odd of getting approved, most likely. But again, everybody's different. But you are going to want to go for a either secured or an unsecured credit card. Those are the two different types of credit cards. Now, a secured credit card means that you're giving out your money to get a credit card. That is an okay option if you have the money, but some people do not have the money. But I honestly, the biggest thing is, what I need to tell everybody, most people get a credit card because they need extra cash to do stuff with, which is okay if you can pay it off at the end of the month, or at least a really good portion of it. But you should not carry any more than 10% of your balance on your credit card. So if your limit's only $300, you should not have any more of a balance than $30 on that credit card. So I tell people, if you're going for a credit card because you're having trouble paying your bills and you don't have money, don't even get one right now. Because we can already predict what's going to happen. You're going to get that credit card and you're going to start using it for gas, food, groceries, gas station purchases, drinks, beverages, anything at all. You're going to begin using that credit card and you're going to max it out to the total limit, 300 out of 300. You're going to be charged a ton of interest on your credit card. I know one credit card that I know someone has right now, okay? And let me see, they sent a document over of their credit card. Let me log in real quick. Currently, they have a $1,000 credit limit. Their last balance was $1,045, so it was over the limit. It dragged their credit score down by like 15 points because it was over the limit. And it was because of all the interest. They were only paying minimum payment, which was about $42, something like that. I think they said $42, and they would pay it, and then $20 would be interest. And 1 month they paid it, and then they had to use it for something, and they only had like $15 available, $10 available, and their $27 of interest came out. And it overdrawed the credit line. Their interest charge was $26.62. And that's monthly. So if you had a credit card like that, $26.62 monthly, and you times their credit line by 12 months, which is a whole year, they're paying $319.44 a year. And if you take that and you do that, and some people usually never get this paid off, they carry this balance for 5 years. They are paying $1,597.20 in credit card debt in 5 years. That's a lot. Just counting that $315, and let's say they have 100 customers who do that across their credit card, they're making $31,500 off of everybody. Can you imagine making that money? That is why credit cards charge interest. Now, depending on your credit score, you're going to get a different interest rate. If you got a better credit score, better odds, and you're more trustworthy, you'll have a lower interest rate. If you're less trustworthy, lower credit score, lower payments on your other lines of credit and loans, then you're going to get a higher interest rate. So what I can say is, if you end up choosing to get a credit card, which I believe everyone should have a credit card, okay, at least one, to help build their credit and maintain their credit. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't need credit. And that can be very true for some people. You may not need credit. If you have a good bit of money, why do you need credit? But, you do have to say to yourself, what's going to happen if I run out of money? What's going to happen if I ever do need credit? I mean, you're not Bill Gates here sitting with $1 billion in the bank. I mean, there may be a day where you lose your house or the place you're living at and you got to go rent out rent and you need to have a good credit score for your background check. So, you need to stay on top of that, and that's why I think everybody should have at least one credit card. And let me tell you now how you want to use your credit card. Now, for anybody, I can tell you it's as easy as saying, do not carry a balance. And that's something that I've actually started to help my grandfather with, who is still living. He has demolished credit, and we're going to talk a little bit about his credit and what's exactly happened to it. And he's told me, he's like, go ahead, talk about my credit. Of course, I'm not going to go over deep details that are just, very, not no one's business, but I'm going to talk about exactly what has happened, how many points has been dropped, and how we've been helping his credit on his, with his credit score and helping him with credit cards. The biggest thing I can say is when you get credit cards that come and they have a massive interest rate, do not even think about even getting those credit cards. Okay? Get a credit card that you agree with. You like the interest rate. It's an okay interest rate. The annual fee, pick something that has a low annual fee. There are so many annual fees that are so expensive. So keep those annual fees down, because even if you are not using the credit card, even if you're keeping your balance at zero, which you still need to use the credit card. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But even if you're using that credit card, okay, and then you end it off with a $0 balance every single month, or even if you don't ever use it, you're going to be charged that $75 annual fee or a $99 annual fee or a $115 annual fee every single month. Every single year. And let me tell you, if you end up not paying for that, you forget about this credit card and you forget about it, the card company most likely will, and they can, put a collection against your credit and make you pay that $75, $99, or $115, whatever dollar annual fee that is. If you don't pay it, they can actually file a collection against you. You are supposed to pay it. So what I can say is to find a credit card that you like. There is a few ones that I recommend is Capital One. That is a major one. I know there's a whole bunch of people who are sitting there probably right now thinking, I hate Capital One. And I'm going to say I've not had the smoothest thing with Capital One, but that was my fault, okay? Nobody else's. It wasn't Capital One. It's because you haven't paid your bill. Now, some people may not have had a good experience and they just don't like it, but Capital One's a good company. Another credit card company I like is called Fortiva. Now, they offer retail credit as well, but they got a credit card which actually helps build your credit. And they are pretty good as well. And I also like one called Mission Lane, and one that's called Continental Finance Company. They have multiple different cards. They have their Surge credit card. They have their Reflex credit card, their Fit credit card. And whether you have fair, poor, or limited credit, they can help and provide a product that is right for you. Once you get your credit card with your limit, most popular limits are $300 or $500. There is some that are $400 and in between, but most are $3 and $5 or $4. There are some ones that are $2. You'll probably get a lower one if you're just starting out. You'll get a low limit, okay? And the biggest thing I can tell you is do not use it and not pay the balance. When you first get it, you're probably going to have your annual fee. There's probably going to be an annual fee on your credit card. If there's not, good for you. If there is, pay your annual fee. I just opened up a credit card just about 2 weeks ago, and that was the one I was just talking about, the Fortiva credit card. Okay, now that credit card here, I'm trying to log in. That credit card was a $500 limit, I believe. Yes. The annual fee for the first year was $125. Now, I was not happy about that, but I have not gotten such a good interest rate and that good of a credit line for a while. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this and get this. That will still leave me with a 385 or whatever. 500 minus 125 is 375. That's right. 375 available, and then I paid for an extra card. So it was $19. That was a cheap add-on as well. Only $19, and a lot of companies are charging like, I mean, the one credit card I mentioned, the Continental Finance Surge credit card, if you want to add it, it's a $30 add-on. $30 to add an extra person or add an extra card onto your credit line. That's absurd. And $19 wasn't that much, and it was really going to help out because this credit card was in 2 different names. We needed 2 different cards without costing a $19 fee. So I did that. So that ended up being that. Once I got the card, I used it for one purchase, and then I paid the entire thing off. Actually, I used it for multiple because I wanted to make sure it was working, so I used it at first at Amazon. The Amazon didn't come out. I'm like, okay, is this thing working? Then I used it for a quick Google purchase that came right through. And then I went and bought groceries for $80 on it. So that put my total balance at $242.74. Right there is already almost, that is basically half of the limit. The thing is, though, it doesn't really matter because I paid it off. Doesn't matter how much you use. You can use all of it and then pay it off. But I wouldn't recommend that. I would use a lot less than that, and then I paid off the credit card every time you use it. Now, you want to make sure that you wait till your transaction is done from pending and goes over to completed, because the amount could change, and also you might mess up with your credit card because you might pay it, and then it'll put the money on, and then you'll be over your balance, like have extra of a limit, which is an option. I mean, you can. A lot of credit cards you can do that. You can throw like $200 onto a credit card, and you can make a $500, a $700 limit. But what you want to do every single month is, I mean, a lot of people might have to use their credit card multiple times throughout the month. What I can say is, as soon as you use it, keep track of that transaction and set yourself, okay, I get paid Friday, I get paid Monday, whatever. I am paying off that credit card on this Friday. That's my bill. I have to pay it off. If I don't, my water's going to get shut off. Make it a priority to pay off that credit card. Make it a priority. And then pay off your balance. So if you got a $500 limit, you spent $92 at the grocery store, then you need to pay your $92 of your balance to bring your credit back to $500. Make it $0. No payment due. Now, the biggest thing with that is that all the credit cards are going to begin to trust you. The company you're with and everybody else who you're going to want to get a loan with, a credit card with, are going to begin to trust you because you are keeping this credit card so well. That's going to build your credit. You're not going to see this right away. Okay, so start doing it and start building your credit. That's what you need to do, is pay off your balance every month. If you use it 5 times a month, then you need to pay it off 5 times that month. Okay? Keep it paid off. Let me tell you, the first big difference you're going to see is that you're not going to have any interest. Now, I don't exactly remember the documents that came with this credit card, but the interest was pretty high, but for me, it wasn't that high compared to the other companies, but it was high. I think it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 28%. I don't remember. It was high. But yeah, that is the first thing. So you're going to cash that right off the bat. Is you're not going to have to pay 28% of what you use. That's a lot of money. So if you use you spent $100 at the grocery store, 30% of that right there is $30. Now, that's annual. That's your APR. That's $30 a year. So you're not going to be charged that every month, but eventually it's going to add up. I mean, over time, and it's going to fluctuate. That's a high interest rate. So you're going to already drop that interest. So now, basically, you're not having to pay any extra money to use your credit card except your annual fee. And that's it. And you can kind of consider your annual fee, do not call it an investment, because it's not an investment. but it's kind of like a help for you. You're kind of paying for a service. That annual fee is helping to build your credit. So you're kind of paying to help build your credit if you think about it. But that's like what the people call now girl math. So, but don't think of it that way, but also kind of think of it that way. Don't stress about your annual fee. All credit cards almost have an annual fee. Some don't, but you got to have excellent credit to get those. You're going to have to probably pay an annual fee to get your first credit card. So just do that, and no matter who you are, if you have terrible credit, if you have good credit, if you have okay credit, you have no credit at all, you're starting out fresh, that is what you need to do every single month, is take your credit card and go and use it for something, $90, $100, whatever, $20, $30, whatever. The biggest thing is do not use any more than you know you can afford. So if you know you cannot afford a $90 grocery bill, do not go put $90 on this credit card. You can do something small. It does not matter how much it is. Just make sure there's action on the credit card. At least once a month, go out and put some money on the credit card. Even if that's just going out to eat and you're grabbing a sandwich. Throw it in there for a $10 bill at the restaurant. Done. At the fast food joint. And then as soon as it clears, pay off that entire balance. Just pay it. $10. That's something so simple. And just keep it. Because you want to know that you're using it, but you're also paying it off. Don't just leave it just sit there. Now, you're still going to be charged an annual fee every single month. But that credit card is really helping your credit. Okay? As long as you're keeping the balance down. So keep working on that and keep that balance down on that credit card and keep it at a $0 balance at all times. And what you're going to see is going to take about 6 months. If you are starting out with no credit and you're doing this for 6 months, you should see your score be about low 600s to mid 600s in about 6 months of doing this with your credit card. If you keep it paid down all the time, every month you pay off the balance on it, you should see this. Okay? Every single month. So that's my biggest thing for people who are just starting to build their credit. Now, if you have bad credit, I can't really tell you because everything is different. You got other credit cards who are dragging your credit down, all that kind of stuff. So, it's going to be different for everybody. Like I said before, everybody is going to be different. Now, what I can say is that if you currently have debt right now, focusing on credit card debt, you need to get that paid down ASAP. Because you are wasting so much money on interest and you are dragging your credit score down. And you may ask, how do I get that debt down? There was a guy who called and he said, my truck payment is $980. He called some guy. I listened to a show and he's like, my truck payment's $980. I'm like, what in the world? What I can tell you from that is you got to sell your truck. You got to get rid of that debt. Which can be impossible because if you bought your truck and it's now, you owe $15,000, that's way more than that, like $70,000 on your truck, and it's only worth $62,000. Where are you finding $8,000 to finish off this debt? But that can lower down your payment if you take it and refinance somewhere else, but then you got to watch interest rates. So, biggest thing I can tell you is if you're in debt, I don't have to say this, I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but you've already screwed up. Okay? That's why I wanted to start this, and I want to start this new area for people who are going into 2024 to get their money in order. You're in control of your money. Don't let your money control you. Okay? So, don't go out there buying a brand new truck. You don't need the best truck on the market. Okay? You need something that's going to get you from point A to point B. Now, if you got, $700,000 coming in a year and you want a $100,000 truck, go ahead. It's still awful expensive, but go ahead. Go get your truck. You could afford it. You could be okay, decent with the payment. But, if your credit's messed up, you have to take how much money you have and you have to be letting some bills go, getting some bills down, selling a house, or, getting extra income, working more hours, getting better money, getting all of that to be able to pay down any of those debts that you may have, any, credit cards, any student loans. And we're going to talk more about that debt, not in our next episode, but the following one. Okay? And this is starting season 2, by the way. This episode 1. All of season 2 are me talking about all about money. all about how to save money and how to get these things done. We're going to talk about the exact program for doing this here. Okay? If you want to talk one-on-one or get extra help, email me. Again, that email is the MSB podcast at protonmail.com. So with that being said, that's going to be it for today's episode here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy New Year. And I will see you back here for our next episode to talk more about savings accounts and loans. I will see you guys in the next episode.